Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Ramo Rajamanis Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Bihata Nishachaраchamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha. Raman Nasti Parayanam Parataram Ramasya Dasosmyaham. Rame Chittalaya Sada Bhavatu Me Bho Rama Mamuddhara. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidwaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidwaram. Krishna Krishna Mukunda Janardhana Krishna Krishna Mukunda Janardhana Krishna Govinda Narayana Hare Krishna Govinda Narayana Hare Krishna Krishna Mukunda Janardhana Krishna Krishna Mukunda Janardhana Krishna Govinda Narayana Hare Krishna Govinda Narayana Hare Achyutananta Govinda Madhava Achyutananta Govinda Madhava Satchidananda Narayana Hare Satchidananda Narayana Hare Krishna Krishna Mukunda Janardhana Krishna Krishna Mukunda Janardhana Krishna Govinda Narayana Hare Krishna Govinda Narayana Hare Krishna Govinda Narayana Hare. बोलिए श्री कृष्ण चंद्र भगवान की जय. श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय. Hariom everyone. In the last session we had seen Bhagwan takes the chariot of Arjuna and places it in between the two armies. And now, having seen Bhishma and Drona, Arjuna starts to undergo certain emotions. So from shloka number 29th onwards, he is telling to Bhagwan what is happening to him right now. So we'll chant 29 and 30 together. Sidanti mama gatrani mukham cha parishushyate vepathuscha sharire me romaharshascha jayate गांडीवं स्रंसते हस्तात् त्वक्चैव परिदह्यते न च शक्नोम्यवस्थातुं भ्रमतीव च मे मनः. So different indicators of what is happening to him, Arjuna is telling to Bhagavan. Sidanti mama gatrani. My body is becoming frail and it's trembling and it's burning. All my weapons, which were so powerful, they are as though slipping away from my hand right now. And Brahmati vachame manaha, my mind is as though spinning around. When we look at the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, I feel sometimes it is difficult to know what is first chapter actually trying to tell us. Why do we need to study the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita? Other chapters, it becomes evidently clear because there is Bhagwan's teaching in some way or the other in all other chapters, second until the 18th chapter. But first chapter is such that Bhagwan doesn't say anything except for that small statement, right? He says, Uvacha Partha Paschaitan Samavetan Kuruniti. O Partha, look at all these Kurus who are standing there. Only that much he says. So sometimes you wonder, what are we studying? You know, sometimes somebody blows a conch, somebody stands somewhere. Lot of stories are going around. But if you pay closer attention, there are some points that come out from first chapter. The first point is that it shows how our emotions play a role inside. You can call it as the cascading effect. Just like in the case of Arjuna, first he came with a Veera Vritti, right? He came by saying, Kairmaya sahayodhavyam asmin rana samudyame. Who all are there who are going to fight against me? Let me see them. And right when he saw Bhishma Drona, that emotion cascaded into aham esham mama ete, feeling of attachment and moha. That I am theirs, they are mine. It didn't stop there. This emotion of moha led into krupa. Means he started feeling a lot of pity for them. It didn't even stop at pity. It went ahead to vishada, sorrow. We also see in our life, whatever emotions we are going through, it also comes like a cascade. In our case, it is not Bhishma Drona who are standing in front. It is some situation. It could be as simple thing as a cloudy weather. You know, you wake up in the morning and you see that the weather is cloudy. And right when you see that, something else comes in our mind. Oh, last time this had happened, this thing had happened. That thought. Now this weather has nothing to do with it. You know, it will connect this with that emotion. And that emotion won't stop there. It will take us somewhere else, somewhere else, somewhere else. A sadhaka who is antarmukhi, sadhaka who is introvert, will be able to see this thing happening very distinctly in their mind. How one emotion transforms into another emotion, that taking me to the third one, and finally it looks like a avalanche. You know, I can't control where this thought process is going. So Bhagavad Gita, through different sadhanas that will come, will address this particular aspect also. Being able to watch the mind very closely and making sure that we catch it before it goes into further avalanches. If you take care of it at the root, then the later portion is easy to handle. And taking care of the root is where we need devotion to Bhagwan. That is where we need knowledge of our true self. I am unaffected by these thoughts is the absolute knowledge. I am drashta of these thoughts which are drushya. But even if we come one level down, Bhagwan is telling Arjuna, don't speculate things. I am here to take care of this, situation which is there. You do what you have to do. Why are you unnecessarily coming up with your own explanation, your own logic, and your own, thoughts about what is going to happen next? This is where that verse comes. Karmani eva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. our adhikara is never in the result, because result has so many other things which need to come together in order to fructify. Our role right now is to just do our dharma in the best possible way. So that is the first thing. What does first chapter teach us? Just to observe how this cascading effect is happening in our own selves. Second aspect is that the root cause of our problem is this shoka and moha. What we saw last time, the point that Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji gives later in his introduction to second chapter. He says, whenever we have excessive attachment towards something, that covers our ability to think clearly, to make a choice between the right and wrong, what I should do and what I should not do. That viveka as though gets hidden by this strong attachment. We saw several examples of that scratch on the car, the CEO taking a decision about his own son. These examples which are outside are just to communicate a point. It is up to the seeker to bring it within and see what is happening here. How moha is covering my ability to take decisions. So there Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji said, what happens with moha is swadharma parityaga. What is my duty, that I will let go of. And pratisiddha seva. What I should not do, that I will end up doing. This is the second thing we can learn from this first chapter. That root cause of our problem is excessive attachment towards something. What is the repercussion of that? That covers our viveka shakti. And Bhagavan says, we cannot solve this problem merely at a transactional level. Means we cannot always determine what is right and what is wrong and live our life just on that strength. He says that is good, that is the first step. What is dharma, what is adharma, what is karya, what is akarya. That viveka we should have, but the goal of life is to question whether I am karta or not. Am I actually the doer, or is there my higher nature which is akarta? So that also Bhagavan will address. That is why in the second chapter he will start addressing Arjuna's question at this standpoint. First he will take the absolute standpoint, then he will come to dharma, dharma and all other standpoints. Okay, that is the second thing that we can learn from first chapter. Now, 31st verse onwards, there is something else that we can learn from this chapter, and that is the quality of Arjuna. What is Arjuna's upbringing? What are his beliefs and what are his convictions about life? Lot of those things will get revealed in the way that he speaks in the first chapter. And it is important for us to know that because Arjuna is the main student of Bhagavad Gita. So if we have to benefit from Bhagavad Gita, there are some qualities that we can appreciate in Arjuna and see how they can get reflected in us. Now, Bhagwan is not impressed by that logic, although every point that Arjuna is making has a valid point. It has some validity, it has lot of merit on its own. All that Bhagwan is trying to tell Arjuna is, at this time, this is not the logic that you should apply here. So every point now, what Arjuna is going to make, Bhagwan will bring it up again in second chapter and try to give him a counter view about his own points. He will use the same words that Arjuna has used and give it in an answer form. So that we will separately see, but here what we can appreciate is what are the qualities that Arjuna is having. He has not only learnt archery, he has lot more depth in his understanding about Vedas, about life, about society. With those things also we can learn. So 31st verse we will chant. Nimittani cha pashyami, nimittani cha pashyami, viparitani keshava, viparitani keshava, न च श्रेयोनुपश्यामि, न च श्रेयोनुपश्यामि, हत्वा स्वजनमाहवे, हत्वा स्वजनमाहवे, निमित्तानि च पश्यामि, विपरीतानि केशव, न च श्रेयोनुपश्यामि, हत्वा स्वजनमाहवे. Now Arjuna starts giving logic for why this war is not appropriate. So from 31st verse until 37th verse is one set of logic. He says, these reasons are there because of which I feel this war is not appropriate. And now it is as though Arjuna is speaking, although it is in shloka format, it is his point of view that he is putting forth. First he says, I don't see good omens. It is a different area of study by itself about these omens, which come. I'm not an expert in that, but in Ramayana also we see Sita ji saying these lines, that I don't see good omens when Maricha is taking Bhagwan Rama away. Means left side, left eye, if it is fluttering or something, then it is said it is not good. And it changes, for women it is in some way and for men it is in another way. So Arjuna is saying, I don't see any of those good omens. Everything I see is bad only. Nimittani cha pashyami viparitani keshava. Nacha shreyonu pashyami. He is telling Bhagwan Krishna, I have always been a shreyarthi. Means I have always sought good in my life, what is auspicious. Hatva swajanamahave. In this act of war that you are telling me to do, I don't see any of those things. It is said that we see the world just in the same way that our mind is. So now what is Arjuna's mind? It is overpowered by Vishada. So whatever he's saying is in line with that same thought process. Bhagwan Krishna is also standing there. He is not seeing this situation in the way that Arjuna is seeing. Bhishmacharya, who is the knower of dharma, he is also standing. He is not seeing it the way Arjuna is seeing. So Arjuna is starting with his logical reasoning now. Now he gives another logic where he says, warrior might have 5 things which are most attractive for them, because of which they are engaged in this war and trying to expand their kingdom and so on. Arjuna says, I don't want any of those 5 things. What are they? 32nd shloka. Nakankshe vijayam Krishna, nakankshe vijayam Krishna, nacharajyam sukhani cha, nacharajyam sukhani cha, kim no rajyena govinda, kim no rajyena govinda, kim bhogairjivitena va, kim bhogairjivitena va, nakankshe vijayam Krishna, nacharajyam sukhani cha, kim no rajyena govinda, kim bhogairjivitena va. He says, O Govinda. Govinda means somebody who is residing in our heart and enlivening the senses. He says, you know me, O Krishna, O Govinda, that I don't want any of these 5 things. Na kankshe. What do you don't want? Rajya. Na kankshe Vijayam. First is I don't want victory. I don't want Rajya and all the comforts that come with it. Kimno Rajyena Govinda, Kim Bhogaihi. I don't want even the Bhoga. The fourth thing is all the comforts and the riches that will come along with it, that I don't want. Jivitenava. I don't even want to live for the sake of these things. I don't want victory. I don't want Rajya and all the Sukha that come with it. Means Sukha Sadhana. Huh? Sukham everybody wants. All the amenities of comfort, that I don't want. Kimno Rajyena Govinda, Bhogas also I don't want. Jivitenava, I don't even want to live for these bhogas. Now, on one hand, Arjuna might have these kind of qualities. And many commentators have explained it in either ways. They have either said that Arjuna was a Maha Virakta by this time, and some of them have said that it was not the real Vairagya. So we will take the second route. Why? We will analyze that little more. Means Arjuna is having these emotions right now. There is, as though you can see that he is very dispassionate. He wants to let go of these things. But if you see his statement few shlokas back, it was not in the same line. What he had said before, Dharta Rashtrasya Durbuddhehe Priya Chikirshavaha. 23rd shloka he had said that these are all Durbuddhi, Dharta Rashtrasya, and these people who have come for the war, how can they support Duryodhana, somebody who has done so many wrong things? How can they support him? So somebody who had said such a statement, suddenly in 5 minutes, if he is saying this shloka, right? Nakangshe Vijayam Krishna, Nacharajyam Sukhanicha. This Vairagya is called Naimittika Vairagya. Means seeing something, seeing some circumstance, suddenly dispassion has come in his heart right now. The real Vairagya which comes is called Vivekajanya Vairagya. Means when a person matures through life, matures through experiences in life, and understands their limitations, that is called as true Vairagya. Something which is triggered because of some circumstance, it might give rise to a lot of intensity of Vairagya, of that emotion. That is not considered as true Vairagya. That is why later in the 5th chapter, when Arjuna is asking that Bhagwan, you praised Karma Yoga also, you praised Jnana Yoga also, Karma Sannyasa also you praised. Tell me what is best for me. Then Bhagwan says, Tayostu Karma Sannyasat Karma Yogo Vishishyate. And Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji adds there, for you. Means what? For somebody who has not analyzed life, who has not gone through life, who has not matured through life, knowledge will not settle down. Even if the absolute knowledge is given, even if that person runs away to some place, this knowledge will not be owned up by that person. That is where Bhagwan introduces the in-between step, which is of Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga has its own glory, that it makes the person fit to absorb this knowledge in the best possible way, and without unsettling our life. Right now, whatever we are doing, Bhagwan will later point out, let us keep doing the same things, but with a different attitude. The flow of Bhagavad Gita is very beautiful, and we bow down to our Shankaracharya ji again and again for giving us that holistic vision of Bhagavad Gita. Means we cannot directly jump to Jnana Yoga. So what is the intermediate step? Bhagwan says, right now your duty is this. Do it very well, but don't do it just for the sake of your own gain. Put me in between. Means what? Offer all your duty, even it could be a war that you are fighting. Offer it to me and do it to your best possible abilities. If you notice, the same line, Nakankshe Vijayam Krishna, Nacharajyam Sukhanicha, Kim no Rajyena Govinda, Kim Bhogair Jivetanava, it comes in Katopanishad also. These are the same things our Yamacharya offers to Nachiketa. And Nachiketa outrightly says no. He rejects all of these things and says, I want only Brahma Vidya. I want to know the nature of self, not any of these things. At that time, Yamacharya doesn't say, you go and do some karma yoga now and something else. So at that time, direct teaching is given because Adhikari is of that kind. But here, Adhikari is different. But sometimes I feel the way Arjuna, Bhagwan gives teachings to Arjuna is actually not for Arjuna's sake, it is for our sake. If we ever have that question, right, how to reconcile this karma yoga and jnana yoga, what should I do? Should I do karma yoga or should I do jnana yoga? Bhagwan says they are not two different things, they come in sequence. With karma yoga, we should purify our mind and we should not stop there. Purpose of life is not to stop at karma yoga. It is to lead us towards the next step of knowing our own true nature, knowing nature of Bhagwan. Bhagwan Krishna had two students, two great students, well-known students. One was our Arjuna. And you must have guessed who the second one is. Second one was Uddhavji. To Arjuna, Bhagwan gave Bhagavad Gita. And teaching to Uddhava is called as Uddhava Gita. And if you see the flow of Uddhava Gita, the beginning of Uddhava Gita is from the highest standpoint. Bhagwan tells Uddhava, whatever you see with your eyes is only an appearance. You are that absolute Brahman in whom this entire creation is appearing. But you see, the quality or the level of that student was very ripe. Uddhavji had served Bhagwan so much, and Bhagwan had observed Uddhavji that he could give that teaching right in the beginning. And he wants to make sure, in the case of Arjuna, that this teaching doesn't remain as some esoteric idea, but he should enjoy the benefit of this teaching. That is why Bhagwan says, we will start with Karma Yoga. So now Arjuna again comes back with some more logic. What is that logic? He says, Bhagwan, you thought I wanted this kingdom for my sake. Not true. What I wanted this kingdom was for something else. What is that he is telling in 33rd verse? 33rd, 34th, we will chant together. Yeshamarthe kangshitam naha, Yeshamarthe kangshitam naha, Rajyam bhoga sukhani cha, Rajyam bhoga sukhani cha, Ta imeva sthita yuddhe, Ta imeva sthita yuddhe, Pranan styaktva dhanani cha, Pranan styaktva dhanani cha, Acharyah pitarah putraha, Acharyah pitarah putraha, Tathaiva cha pitamahaha, Tathaiva cha pitamahaha, Matula shvashurah pautraha, मातुला श्वशुराः पौत्राः शाला संबंधिनस्तथा येषामर्थे काङ्क्षितं नः राज्यं भोगा सुखानि च त इमेव स्थिता युद्धे प्राणान् त्यक्त्वा धनानि च आचार्याः पितरः पुत्राः तथैव च पितामहाः मातुलाः श्वशुराः पौत्राः शाला संबंधिनस्तथा. Arjuna says, Yesham arthe kangshitam naha rajyam bhoga sukhani cha. For sake of whom I wanted all this rajya, this kingdom, this bhoga, and all this, comfort that will come along with it. Ta ime te ime avasthitaha yuddhe. All those people for whose sake I wanted, they are themselves standing in this war. Pranans tyaktva dhananicha. Pranans tyaktva means not giving up prana, giving up love for their prana, giving up love for their life. They have stood here, they are standing here right now. How can I fight this war? Who are they for the sake of whom I wanted this rajya? I wanted this kingdom. He says, Acharyaha, all my teachers who are there, I wanted to serve them. Pitaraha, same relatives and father. Pitaraha putraha tathaiva cha pitamahaha. People who are younger to me, who are greater, like my grandfather's age. All of them are standing here. And I wanted all this kingdom for their sake. Matulaha shvashuraha pautraha shala sambandhinastata. From my mother's side, uncles, well-wishers, relatives, everybody is standing here for the sake of whom I wanted this rajya. Now you see, Bhagwan is not speaking a word. He is just mentally noting down each and every point Arjuna is making. He will come back again in second chapter and he says, okay, Arjuna, this was your point. This is how you should understand it. Now, what might be going on in Bhagwan's mind? He says, okay, so you wanted Rajya for your Matu, all your family, friends, and so on. I am saying this Rajya is for Dharma. It is not for your family's sake, neither for your, for the sake of all the people that you have listed here. This is a Dharma Yuddha. This is the difference in standpoint, Arjuna thinks I am fighting this war for myself. Bhagwan is saying you are fighting this war because it is your dharma. And he's previously must have said that, initially you said you don't want Nakangshe Vijayam Krishna. And now you are saying even if you wanted it for your family. Bhagwan is telling, even that is not your goal. Your goal is something much higher for the sake of society, for the sake of the samaja which is there, where adharma should not rise, and you are fighting against those who are doing this kind of adharma. That is your vision. Don't get swayed away by your own personal likes and dislikes. Arjuna is still not convinced. He brings even more powerful logic now. 35, 36, 37, together we will read. Etan nahantumichhami, gnatopi madhusudana, api trailokya heto kim nu mahi krute nihatya dhartarashtrannah ka pritisya janardana papamevashrayedasmat पापमेवाश्रयेदस्मात् हत्वैतानाततायिनः हत्वैतानाततायिनः तस्मान्नार्हा वयं हन्तुं तस्मान्नार्हा वयं हन्तुं धार्तराष्ट्रान् स्वबान्धवान् धार्तराष्ट्रान् स्वबान्धवान् स्वजनं हि कथं हत्वा स्वजनं हि कथं हत्वा सुखिनः स्याम माधव सुखिनः स्याम माधव एतान्न हन्तुमिच्छामि घ्नतोऽपि मधुसूदन अपि त्रैलोक्यराज्यस्य हेतोः किं नु मही कृते निहत्य धार्तराष्ट्रान्नः का प्रीतिः स्याज्जनार्दन पापमेवाश्रयेदस्मात् हत्वैतानाततायिनः तस्मान्नार्हा वयं हन्तुं धार्तराष्ट्रान् स्वबान्धवान् स्वजनं हि कथं हत्वा सुखिनः स्याम माधव एतान्न हन्तुमिच्छामि घ्नतोऽपि मधुसूदन. Now Bhagwan Krishna or somebody might ask Arjuna, Arjuna, you are saying you will not fight the war, which is okay, but Duryodhana is not going to change his mind. He is going to shoot. He is going to attack the Pandava army. What are you going to do then? He said, doesn't matter. Arjuna is saying, Etan na hantumichchami gnatopi madhusudana. Even if they kill us, even if they attack us, I am not going to do anything. I don't intend to fight this war, even if Duryodhana attacks me. And he uses the word Madhusudana. Madhusudana means one who has killed Asura, Madhu and Kaitaba. And Arjuna must have said, they were Asuras, but these are all my Sasura. All these are dear and near people. How can I do this? You did that to Asuras, which is okay. Arjuna is now showing his confused state of mind because he's using all the attributes of an Asura only for Duryodhana. But yet he is saying, I will not fight, I will not fight. You see later what he says. Api trailokya rajyasya heto kim na mahikrute. Even if I get the kingdom of these three worlds, I still don't want to fight. What to talk about this petty kingdom? That too, on this earth, one Hastinapur I will get. For the sake of that, why should I fight this war? Nihatya dhartarashtranaha ka priti sya janardana. Killing these Dhartarashtra, sons of Dhritarashtra, what joy are we going to get now in this war? Papamevashrayedasmat hatvaitan atatayinaha. If we are going to fight this war, Papa will find ashraya in us. Means it will come looking for us if we get rid of this atatayin. Now this is where Arjuna gets it flipped. On one hand, he is calling them atatayinaha. Atatayina means someone who has committed very ghora karma, ghora papa. The epitome of sin, if somebody can commit, that person is called as atatayinaha. There are 6 different things which are given, for an atatayin. Somebody who sets house on fire, somebody who tries to poison somebody and is ready to kill. All those lakshanas of atatayin were fitting in our Duryodhana and all the other Kauravas who are there. And yet he says, if we kill them, we will get papa. So here, later Bhagwan Krishna reminds him, Tata swadharmam kirtischa hitva papam avapsasi. He says, Arjuna, you have got the knowledge of dharma in the reverse order. He says, if you don't do your duty now as a kshatriya, which is to protect dharma, then you will get papa. Means if you give up your swadharma, that is when you will accrue this papa, not by fighting the war. Fighting the war is your dharma right now. That is why you should go ahead. I'm just bringing verses from second chapter because we feel connected, something is going to be said later. And later when we see those shlokas, we will try to connect it back here and understand what is Bhagwan's point of view. See, this is where we should put forth our effort in understanding Bhagavad Gita. If you don't do that, then all these verses, if you read one by one, you will say, yes, Arjuna is right. That is correct. What he is saying, Papa will come. Like this, all verses will seem Arjuna is saying the right thing. But Bhagwan doesn't say, I will reverse back my chariot and go back now. You are right, Arjuna, let us go. So our effort should be in understanding where is Bhagwan coming from. Okay, understanding first in the context of Arjuna's situation, but we should not forget our situation also. Okay, our goal of studying Bhagavad Gita is not to judge whether Bhagwan Krishna was right, Arjuna was wrong, whether he should have gone back or stayed. That is not our main purpose. Our main purpose is what we discussed in the beginning of the class. Swadharma parityaga means giving up what is our swadharma, and we take what is pratishiddha. What we should not do, we end up taking. How we can avoid from that situation, if we are able to learn, then we have served. This study has served its purpose. So now, with this shloka, as though Arjuna has forgotten everything that Duryodhana has done. All the Kauravas, whatever they have done to Pandavas, he is forgetting all those things because of only that one thing, Bhishma Drona Pramukhataha. That attachment has overpowered everything else now for him. And now he draws his conclusion, like how in mathematics we have, right? All steps we will write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we will say therefore. So in Sanskrit also, tasmat means you are drawing a conclusion. So what I had said earlier was 31st to 37th verse is one set of logic that he is giving. Now he says, tasmat narha vayam hantum dhartha rashtran swabandhavan. Therefore, it is not appropriate for us to fight with Kauravas. Dhartha rashtran swabandhavan. They are our own people. Swajanam hi katam hatva sukhinasyama madhava. How can we be happy by fighting against our own people and killing them? Now Bhagwan Krishna, who is standing there, he is not impressed. Until this point, he has not spoken a word. He is allowing Arjuna to exhaust all his logic. Whatever he has in his mind, whatever best way he can find, right? Bhagwan is saying, okay, speak. He might be just, nodding his head, but nodding in such a way that Arjuna knows he is not convinced. That is why he's bringing more and more logic, that next also he will start from a different standpoint now. So as I said, this is another thing we should learn from first chapter of Gita, is Arjuna has a lot of depth in his understanding. He's applying it in a wrong situation, that is a different matter, but his knowledge about dharma, his knowledge about jiva, that we don't have only this life, we have several lives that we go through. And our karma gets added in all those lives. So all these things Arjuna will bring out now. So now he will use Shastra as his logic. Until now he was just using his own experiences. He is telling Bhagwan, I don't want this, I don't want that, and so on. But now he will use dharma. Okay. So that we will see in the next session. There are some announcements and then we will take a few questions. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Hari Om. With Gurudev's blessings and Sohamji's guidance, we are celebrating Swami Tapovanam Jayanti and Gita Jayanti over 7 days from December 19th to December 25th by chanting the entire Bhagavad Gita of 700 verses online live. We are going to do this chanting by chanting few chapters a day for approximately 30 minutes a day for 7 days. So please mark your calendars for these 30 minutes in the evenings from December 19th to 25th. Timings are on the CMSJ website. It is also sent in emails. I'll repeat the timings here for your quick reference. December 19th at 7 p.m., 20th to 24th at 6 p.m., and 25th at 4 p.m. The timings are also on the slide here. The highlight of this event is that the chanting will be led by kids of Gita chanting classes of CMSJ, around 190 kids from Shishu Vihar to all the way to 12th grade from San Ramon, San Mateo, Fremont, and San Jose centers would be leading the chanting. And rest of us are going to follow and chant along with them from home. Okay, so please don't miss this event. All you need are two things. One, Bhagavad Gita chanting book, and just 30 minutes every day in the evening from December 19th to 25th. So please participate and let's chant together. And I now invite Shweta to talk about an exciting project that they are working on. Hari Om.
Hari Om. There are two announcements that I would like to make. One is about a very exciting platform, and the other is a great opportunity that's coming up. One exciting platform that I have been able to work on and lead with many other chicks a part of CMSJ has been the Thage newsletter that has now moved to an electronic platform. So if you go to the CMSJ website under news and you click on eThage, over here you can see all of the past newsletters that we have had the pleasure of writing, as well as ones from previous years. So from this year in 2020, there have been 3 newsletters that have been published, one from May, June, one from July, August, and September and October. So these get written out every 2 months. And I'm very thankful to have this opportunity to be able to work with many other wonderful chicks, as well as the guidance of those such as Meena ji and Venkatesh Uncle to put together a rendition of events. So if you go to these newsletters, you can find very clear and captivating snippets of all of the past events and opportunities that have happened. Not only are there descriptions to these events, but there are hyperlinks to recordings of them, images of them, key takeaways, and several other wonderful information. So some of you I know have subscribed to the Thage newsletters earlier on. Those have been discontinued in print, and so they have now all been moved to online. And all of the newsletters are pretty clear in terms of explaining everything from the weekly satsangs all the way to some of the recent celebrations and upcoming events that we also have. So I highly encourage you to go check out the newsletter and to check them out to receive more information about what's coming as well as what's happened, and also how you can contribute to some of the causes that we support as CMSJ. The next opportunity and upcoming event that I would like to talk about is the Chick Retreat that is happening in February of 2021 with the guidance of Shri Vivekji as well as Sohamji. This will be from February 12th to February 15th, and it will be focusing on Mind the Gap. I think this is a very relevant topic because especially this year in the midst of the pandemic and so much turbulence happening in the world and in the country, and not only externally, but also internally in our minds as a result. I think it's a very appropriate topic. And this is open to those between the ages of 17 to 45, and registration is officially open. So I encourage you again to go to the CMSJ website. It is on the landing page, and to register for this wonderful retreat. It is going to be filled with wonderful workshops and classes. And I know in the past we have had talent shows. So this is a very great opportunity to closely interact for chicks and those within that age group with Sohamji as well as Shri Vivekji. So highly recommend that you encourage those in your family, friends, children to register. And I can attest that I've been attending it for the past several years, and it is very, very fun. And there's a lot that you take away in such a short amount of time. Hariom, and I'll now hand it over back to Sohamji.
Thank you, Shweta and Vikramji. So those of you who have or know in that age group, 17 to 45, Chik and Setukari, I strongly encourage everybody to sign up. We'll be focusing on a lot of sadhana aspects also in that retreat for youngsters. Okay, so looking forward to seeing them there. All right, there were some questions here related to what we discussed. How to be in control in situations when we are caught up amidst emotional tornadoes. Are there any practical tips or sadhanas from Bhagavad Gita? I think this was that first point what we discussed, that Arjuna going through different emotions, one leading into another. I call it a cascading effect, avalanche. This question calls it as a tornado. Either way. So one thing which is generally suggested is for us to change or stay away from the triggers of those emotions as far as possible. The technical word for that is uddipaka. Means physical environment that is there will always trigger certain very strong emotions if we have that kind of relation with that object. Why go so far? Even food for that matter, right? If we love something, just seeing that food, so many things will start happening in the mind. So outer circumstance becomes a trigger for inner emotions. So let us say whenever we are caught up in that, what is suggested is to take a step back and not react right at that moment. That is, very practical suggestion, because of which I think, in olden days in palaces and all, they used to have something called as Kopa Bhavan. Separate place if I get angry. I meaning some person in that palace, the queen or anybody or the king, I don't know who used to use that. Whenever they had some emotion, they would not do it outside. They would go in that Kopa Bhavan. So that was the same thing, that not reacting right at that moment. But if you see Bhagavad Gita's solution, right, it is something where Bhagwan is telling us that we should get deeper in our understanding about life. Because tornado is a very good example for this, that wherever there is deep water, tornado doesn't do too much of a harm. When water becomes shallow, that is when you see big waves rising and a lot of destruction happens there. So how do we deepen our understanding? Bhagwan says this is where we should start inquiring into nature of life. What is the role of karma in our life? How does this karma phala function? And what is in my hand and what is not in my hand? If I insist on holding on certain things very tightly and then say, I will decide that result should be in a certain way, that is when these tornadoes will come. We should see in ourselves, right? When do I end up in these extreme emotions? When I have a very strong insistence that a thing should happen in a particular way. Sometimes when you go to an airport, for example, you see somebody who is very agitated about a flight being delayed. So at that time, you cannot do too much of analysis, because we also could be there in their place. It is easier to see it in somebody else so that we can analyze in us. So at that time, we cannot do too much of teaching and upadesha and all. Where we can work on is when things are quiet, when things are calm. There we should start thinking, can I actually decide which flight should be on what time. All I can do is reach airport on time. If there is a flight at certain time, I can inquire, I can do whatever it takes. That is in my hand. Insisting that certain things should be in certain way, Bhagavan says that is where a lot of these avesha of emotions will happen. Krupaya vishtaha, right? Arjuna had emotion of krupa, which came and engulfed him. Like that, several emotions come. But if you ask what is the solution of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan would say, bring me in your life. Rather than making me as somebody who is remote, who is there, I might have faith in Bhagavan, but I don't feel that he is a contributor in my life. I feel I am the main controller, Bhagavan is telling, let us switch it. Contributor should be me, controller is Bhagavan. Then lot of acceptance will come about things after having done what we have to do. Acceptance meaning what? Non-insistence. It is not passive acceptance that, oh, whatever happens, let it happen. Non-insistence is the phalam of buddhi. Buddher phalam anagraha. Anagraha means no strong, insistence. And then Bhagavan will give several sadhanas because it is easier said than done. When we start walking this path, we realize how difficult it is to change our mind, to change our way of responding. Bhagavan says, don't worry about that. No matter how many times we fall, Bhagavan gives his hand. He says, we'll come back again. So that aspect also will come from Bhagavad Gita in terms of doing sadhana and training our subconscious mind. See, when we are caught in those tornadoes, right, what is our inherent conviction about values, that will decide our response. This we might have seen in our everyday life also. What comes at the drop of a hat is our inherent or subconscious mind. That is what is operating. So purpose of Bhagavad Gita in one way, if you want to call, is to purify that subconscious mind also. Means teaching has to go to such an extent that these values become our first nature. So whatever in 12th chapter, 13th chapter, Bhagavan is going to talk about values, they are not only to discuss and, try to put it in a very nice way, how one should practice value. They are for us to own up in such a way that when we are caught in these tornadoes, they help us come out of those emotions. Means our response will always be based on our convictions in values. Okay. I think this much is enough. There is a lot of different perspectives, but I think this is how we can look at it. Is strong love for country also called as attachment? And is it also not good? If so, what are the indicators that the level of attachment is not good? Here we should ask the question, what is that attachment doing to me? Before judging what is good and bad, we should ask the question, what is that attachment doing to me? If that attachment is making me let go of my lower attachments, then it is good in one way. Because it is helping me identify with something much more bigger, much more greater than my own limited vision of life. So that is a good attachment. But another question we should ask is it increasing my sense of oneness with everybody, or is it creating a sense of division? See, love for whichever, altar that we are taking, this question we should ask. Bhagavan will say later in Gita that sattvic knowledge is that which brings unity in vision, which brings oneness in our vision. So in the name of some attachment, if it is bringing more division in people, in our understanding about being accepting of different views, then that attachment will become an obstacle in my progress. It might be of views of people who don't align with what my view is. And nobody is saying that, we should have the same vyavahara with everybody. So sama darshanam is not sama vartanam. Although we see oneness in everybody, our interaction will be different, but internally there is no block against anyone. They might have a different political view, they might have a different social view. But if we have to progress as sadhakas, if we want happiness in our life, then our vision can be nothing but that of oneness. So if we answer those questions and then see what is this attachment doing to me, then it will tell us whether it is the right attachment or wrong attachment. Right? First one, what did we discuss? Whether it is helping me let go of my lower attachment. If the answer is yes, then it is good attachment to have to begin with. But second is, it should not create divisions. Jnanam should always be of ekatva. At whatever level we want, we can take it. Ekatva at the level of culture, nation, those are good than trying to divide it. Division is very easy, right? Because our drishti generally goes towards differences. But for us to see oneness, that is where real sadhana happens. And better word to attachment, right, I feel is devotion. Instead of saying I am attached to my country, I can say I am devoted to my country. So then devotion will always make sure I will keep everything together, because devotee can never see differences. Siya Ramamaya Sabajaga Jani will not happen if one is not a devotee. Means whole world seeing it as Bhagwan Rama and Mother Sita. How will it happen, right? So rather than saying I am attached to my country, better word is I am devoted to my country. Then it will align with our sadhana. It will align with spiritual vision. We will not get caught up while working for that. There are some other questions which we will take next time, but there is one question which is about if there is any advice for somebody who is trying to do nididhyasanam, meditation. So in our Drigdrishya Viveka class, from next class onwards, the topic that is going to start is on nididhyasanam. And we will look at it elaborately from Ashtanga Yoga standpoint. All sadhanas that are required for meditation, our authentic resource is from Ashtanga Yoga. Patanjali Maharshi has given several tips and guidance. So we'll do it based on that, what is asana, what is our guidance given with conduct with others, conduct with ourselves. All of that is elaborated very exhaustively. So Nididhyasanam topic there. When we do 6th chapter of Gita, we will do it in this class. Okay. Hari Om everyone. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Hari Om.